Howdy, it's Jim Morado, and this is September 2024. We are in Seattle, Washington, and this was our second trip to Seattle. We were here almost 2 decades earlier, and we haven't been back since, but we sort of added on a few days in Seattle. We added that on to our Alaskan Cruise. We flew in, came to Seattle, and spent about 3 days in Seattle before we got on our Norwegian cruise and went to Alaska. And we had a great time in Seattle, and I filmed quite a bit as we were just driving around, and I thought I would put a little video up and talk about our time in Seattle. Really cool way to do a cruise, go to Seattle. Work in a few days, maybe on the front end or tail end of your cruise, and really kind of make that cruise something extra special. 2 years earlier, we did a Alaskan cruise, again with Norwegian, and we ended up going, we flew in, and we ended up in Vancouver, British Columbia, and we spent 3 days in Vancouver at the tail end of that cruise, and that ended up being a lot of fun. Vancouver, British Columbia, Seattle, Washington, very similar cities in my opinion. They're large cities, but they're mostly pretty clean, and they're very doable. I felt very safe in both. Both do have issues, and you can read about those elsewhere, but I felt pretty comfortable getting around both cities, and just had a good time. Both cities have a lot of culture, a lot going for them, and So anyway, this is us driving around Seattle. I was very lucky. I had an old friend that I knew from my Owensboro, Kentucky days, who has moved up towards Portland. And they came and hung out with us actually a couple of days, and that was great. It was a friend I hadn't seen in many years, with Facebook and with the world being the way it is now. You can keep up with friends without even seeing them, so it didn't feel like we hadn't seen them in that long, but it had been a while. Luckily they had a car, so they asked if there was any place we wanted to go to that wasn't right in downtown Seattle, and we said we would love to go see the Fremont Troll. So they had not seen that either, so they took us to see the Fremont Troll, and we also went and saw Bruce and Brandon Lee's graves. Big added bonus to this trip, something we weren't expecting to do, but we got to squeeze those things in, and that was great. When we were here previously, we did go see the Space Needle, and we did go see the, I think it used to be called the Experience Music, and I think the Sci-Fi Museum. So on this trip, we did not see either of those. I would have enjoyed going back to those, but I was outvoted, and that's okay. There was still plenty to do in Seattle, and we enjoyed just being in Seattle. We did spend a good solid day at the Pike Place Market, and when we were here previously, we probably spent 2 or 3 hours there, but on this trip, we spent a good chunk of time there, and I'll put up another video about that, and about the Fremont Troll and some of the other stuff. But Pike Place Market is, it's special. It's very nice. It's very unique. It's not just a flea market or just a big, cities market. It's got a lot of history, a lot of interesting art, and of course coffee shops. Starbucks #1 is considered to be there, even though it has moved from its original location. I probably would have gotten a cup of coffee there, but there was a massively huge line. And there were some other good coffee places I wanted to try, so we skipped it. I did it last time. I can say I've done it, so I was happy with that. And that was fine. But Pike Place Market, man, that is a great place just to go and kind of grub. Maybe not even plan on spending Don't maybe not even go somewhere in particular for lunch. Just go to various places and have a little bit of something at each place. There are many levels to that place too. I didn't realize how far underground it goes. So we had a really good time exploring and had a lot of fun with that. And I'd like to. I want to make sure that we get back to Seattle more frequently than what we have. My wife's aunt and uncle lived there many, many years ago, and we went and saw them, and they showed us around. Then they moved, and this was our first trip back, so we really enjoyed that. I'll put up a little bit more about our Alaskan cruise. On this particular trip, we were on a ship that held about 4,000 people. On our previous trip, we were on a ship that held about 2,000. And definitely pros and cons to both of those. I did feel like there was a lot more to do on this cruise than on the previous one, but I also feel like that's kind of not necessary. A lot of what I'm wanting to do on a cruise is look out my window and enjoy the ocean, enjoy the scenery. But this cruise was just jam-packed. They had several kind of bars and restaurants. It seemed like there were concerts and comedy clubs and just something was going on. It seemed like 24 hours a day. It was a bit much for me, but I was glad it was there. We had a great time on both of those cruises. I did enjoy the smaller sized cruise last time. We also did the Inside Passage last time, and I think I enjoyed that more just from the way it kind of played out. And we did do a railroad tour on both of our cruises. And again, I'll put up some more information about that. We did the Alaskan Railroad last time, and that was a very special treat. We were on about a 5-hour tour, and that went really well. And that video is up already on this YouTube channel. And then on this trip, we did the White Pass trip up towards the Yukon. We did not quite make it into the Yukon province, but we squeezed a lot in, and it was a great train ride. Highly recommend both of those. On this particular trip to Seattle, we did do one of the Seattle Underground tours, and I'll put up another video about that. They didn't really allow filming while the tour was going on. Of course, a lot of people, myself included, you made some small videos here and there. But it was that was a treat. And we did, I know there's one main company that's been doing the underground tours for years. We did that last time. On this particular trip, we did a different company, and they took us to some different places, gave us some different information. And I enjoyed them both. I don't know if I would say I would recommend one over the other. Maybe get your tickets ahead of time if you're going to be out there on a weekend or something like that. One of our friends had done the same tour we had did previously, and they thought it was neat to do a different trip or a different underground tour this time. Again, I thought the streets of Seattle were fairly clean. We weren't hassled that much. I don't think anybody asked us for money. We did have somebody come up and try to ask us our opinion about something political, trying to engage with us, and I just basically said, I'm sorry, we're on vacation. I don't have time. And that was about it, though. Down by the pier, like a lot of major cities, there are guys trying to give you their CD for a donation. And I just was not interested. I like a lot of music, but I've done a pretty good job of figuring out what I like and where to get it. So, and check out those views, by the way. That was from the ship. That's looking over at the football and the baseball stadiums. A lot of fun. We did get to go to a Mariners game on this trip. I was pretty excited about that. I'll probably put up a video about that too. We had a very good time, but big major league professional sports, it's not what it used to be. There's security, and you've got to have a certain bag to take in. The expenses and the security have, in my opinion, taken away from the fun at this point. Look at the view, though. Look how beautiful that is. That is something special. That is something unique to Seattle. Just a great shot. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any thoughts on Seattle, feel free to drop me a line. Thanks.